He's got the fire, the fight, and the filthiest stuff you haven't seen yet. Meet the Jackhammer today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Boonie, one name, all passion, and I've been riding with this squad for 4 decades now. And let me tell you, the A's aren't just some scrappy underdog anymore. We are the storm rolling in. From Ricky to the Bash Brothers, from the Big Three to the Vegas Blueprint, this franchise has always found a way to flip the script. And right now, these kids are turning MLB upside down, and the rest of the league cannot stand it. Stick around. We are building a desert dynasty, and you do not want to be late to the party. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. So smash that subscribe button right now and join the ride. And if you are in Nevada, catch Locked On A's Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Silver State Sports and Entertainment, Digital Channel 5.2, and Cable Cox Channel 77. Today's episode is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you will get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. Jack Perkins isn't just another young arm trying to make it. He's the kind of pitcher who forces you to pay attention. The 25-year-old right-hander from Indiana fought through elbow surgery, a college transfer, and a long climb through the minors before carving out a place on the A's roster in 2025. When he finally got the call up on June 22nd, he didn't flinch. He fired 98 miles per hour, mixed in a sweeper that bent like it was angry, and walked off the mound looking like a guy who belonged all along. But behind the heat and swagger is a story about resilience and reinvention. Perkins' journey has been anything but linear. Elbow surgery in college, a draft pick that didn't sign, a transfer from Louisville to Indiana, and a winding minor league path that could have easily derailed lesser players. Yet each chapter added something: poise, perspective, and that bulldog mentality you can't fake when the game starts moving fast. Today on Locked On A's, I sit down with the Jackhammer, Jack Perkins, for an unfiltered conversation about everything that built him, from the mental grind of rehab to the adrenaline rush of facing big league hitters. This isn't just a chat about pitching, it's about pressure, patience, and the mindset it takes to go from prospect to problem for opposing hitters. Jack, call comes in June 22nd, 2025. You're headed to the majors for the first time. Walk me through your emotions, your first phone call you made, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a surreal experience. I feel like, my journey wasn't what I expected it to be. Coming out of high school, I was a super high prospect, and the beginning of my college career just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, with injuries, transferring,
Sure.
things like that. And then just the journey through the minor leagues. I feel like Indiana really prepared me really well for getting into pro ball, and I felt like a pro coming in. But when you finally get that call and you have that experience, my parents, all the sacrifices they made, my wife, the sacrifices she made, all the sacrifices that go into it really start to hit you and come into perspective of what all has gone in to get there. So lots of emotions, tears were shed. First call, I called my wife immediately. She actually was on a bachelorette trip, and she was down in Florida, and she didn't answer the first time, and I'm like, hey, I need you to answer. Like, this is pretty important. But no, it was awesome. She was great. She was crying. It was just awesome experience. Parents were excited. So it was surreal.
Now, McGuire was there. He was in Vegas when you got the call up.
Yeah. So he was kind of doing his rounds like he does throughout the year, visiting all the affiliates, and he was in town that week. And yeah, when I got the call, I walked in, and Mark McGuire's front and center sitting there, and he was kind of Fran was just kind of telling me, he's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. You and Mark are going to have something in common. And at the time, and I was like, I mean, I hit in high school and I was pretty good, but I don't know if we have too much in common outside of that. But it was pretty cool for him to say that, we both were able to say we played for the Athletics and kind of culminated from there. But it was awesome.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Now, in your debut, you tossed 3 scoreless innings. You allowed just 1 hit. I remember watching it. Struck out 2. Is there a particular moment from that outing that kind of stands out? A pitch, a batter, a feeling?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was Jose Ramirez.
Yes, you faced him 3rd in that inning, I believe, right?
Yeah, and I kind of got the first out pretty quick as you on the first pitch, comebacker or something like that. So you kind of get in that groove, like, okay, I'm good, I'm cruising. Then Jose comes up to the plate, and I could tell I kind of started to press a little bit. It was my first like real big name that I had gone up against, and I go 3-0 against him. And William McIver, he calls a sweeper, and I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, why are we throwing a sweeper right here? Like, it's 3-0. Like, let's just get back in the count. I don't want to walk anybody in my debut. Like, come on.
Sure.
But I was like, whatever. I'm sure he's done more scouting than I have. Throw him a sweeper. He fouls it off or something like that. And I was like, wow, I can't believe he was swinging 3-0. But just like kind of the mindset shifted there of like every single pitch, you have to be on top of your game. You have to be thinking back and forth with each specific hitter and what they bring to the table. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that was kind of my first big batter out of the way, and also a big learning experience of like, this is more than just stuff against stuff. Like, you got to be thinking the whole time up there.
Take me through that pitch mix. So I remember and correct me if I'm wrong, in your debut, you threw 3 different fastballs. You had a 4-seamer, a sinker, and a cutter. And the 4-seamer maxed out at 98. Walk me through how you decide which pitch to use in real time. Now, are you reading the batter, the count, how your arm feels, all of the above?
Yeah, I think all of it goes into it. For me, thankfully I feel like I've been blessed to have really good stuff. And I think a lot of times, like Dallas Braden, he's talked about it a lot, but like, you're the aggressor, you're on offense. And as soon as you take that mindset away, I feel like you kind of become defensive or try and be too fine or do too much. So I feel like a lot of times I go into it with the offensive mindset of, here's my best stuff, try and hit it, but I do think you have to pick and choose your times when you have to, situationally, specific hitters, different things like that, reading the game, how the game's flowing, how your arm feels. Are you in a high pitch count? Are you cruising? All those things kind of go into effect for me. I feel like I've lived off my fastball a lot coming up through the minor leagues, added the sweeper last year and had great success with it. So I feel like I've been really fastball sweeper heavy. And then I mix in the cutter and change up occasionally. But yeah, I think it's really situational. Like you said, it kind of depends on the day. Like, is the arm feeling great? Do you have 97, 99 in the tank and you can go get it whenever you want? Or is it one of those days you're kind of gutting through it with 94, 96 and you have to pitch?
Absolutely. Now, on the flip side of that, walk us through kind of like a batting. Now, I remember your very first start. I was jacked up for it. I thought you should have gotten to start a lot sooner. So when you finally did, I was pretty stoked. And it was against Arizona. Arizona's tough. They didn't have the best of seasons, but that top of the lineup's tough with Corbin Carroll. You got him swinging. You got Alexander next up, and then Perdomo like loops a double that came off the bat at what seemed like 40 miles per hour. And then you get Gurriel, but you threw a lot of pitches there. Second inning comes around. You walk McCarthy, I want to say, Locklear, soft single, I think, and then another soft hit by somebody else. What was going through your head in those first couple innings? Because it didn't seem you had a couple walks. I thought your stuff was great, and I thought you just pitched into a lot of bad luck. Yeah,
I mean, I think you kind of have to, it's like whatever your perspective is, right? Like, how do you choose to view each situation?
Sure.
And I think for me, in that specific outing, things did speed up on me a little bit. Being my first start, you want to impress, you want things to go well, so you get another one, right?
Yeah.
But I also feel like as that outing went on, and I look at later outings like Baltimore, where it's like those first 3 hitters, things don't look like they're going great. But my perspective was completely different in that outing. It's like I'm making great pitches. they just kind of got to it, like just stick to the plan, stick to the process, stay patient, do what you've been doing. And as you saw in that outing, things kind of just fell into place. Like I felt like they should have been with the way the ball was coming out of my hand and where my pitches were going. I think in the Arizona outing, being my first start, things kind of sped up of like, I really wanted to do well and show well so that I could keep going out there. But like you said, I also don't think it sped up too much to where I was just getting hammered. It was just little dinks and dunks, and that can be kind of frustrating too. At the end of the day, you kind of just have to look back on it as, you're going to have those starts every now and then. Things just aren't going to go your way. But at that point, it's how you're going to bounce back for the next one.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they are worth, whether it's 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you have put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categories of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. You can identify that you are not saving as much as you thought. For me, it was too much money on DoorDash, A's Gear, and streaming services I wasn't even using. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Got you. You've battled injuries in college and pro ball. You dealt with elbow surgery and you had a transition. Yes, you went to Indiana, but a lot of people didn't know you started at Louisville. What's been the toughest rehab moment? What kept you mentally fighting through all that stuff? And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the toughest one was Tommy John I had at the end of my freshman year at Louisville.
Okay.
Kind of like I said before, like coming out of high school, there's a lot of hype. I worked my way into the midweek starter role for Louisville. It's kind of one of the things. Things were starting to go great. I was starting to get the confidence and be the player who I was trying to. People thought I could be, I guess.
Okay.
And then the injury hits. Come back from injury, miss all of sophomore year and junior years there. And again, a lot of expectation. It's like projected first round or preseason All-American, all these things. And I felt like I was trying to live up to an expectation rather than just trust the process of who is Jack Perkins, what does Jack Perkins do really well, and how do I do that on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like I was just really trying to please other people, I guess. And through that journey for me, my faith became super important. Like I really locked into that and what that meant to me in my life. And going forward, it just allowed me to have a much freer and fresher perspective on life and on the game itself. Granted, I'm a perfectionist at heart. Like I'm always going to do whatever I can to be the best that I can. But it allowed me to realize that, you're going to fail and you have to have grace in those situations, not only for yourself, but other people have to have grace for you as well, that you're going to bounce back from that. So that was probably the toughest one for me. But in terms of now how I'm feeling, I feel great. I think it was just a small bump in the road and still rehabbing hard and getting ready to be ready for spring training. So super, super excited for next year. I really hated that I had to end the year on the IL, and kind of with the way things were progressing, I was really starting to find my feet and really excel where I thought I could be. And then the injury bug just kind of hit me, but I'm feeling really good and excited for 2026.
Gotcha. Analytics obviously is a big deal in today's game, pitch design, data. Was there ever something in like in analytics, in a scout chart or report you pushed back on at first, then later realized it was just absolute gold?
I don't know. I think for me, going from Louisville to Indiana, I really had a shift in perspective, just in the mindset of like, I was willing to do whatever it took to get even an ounce better at what I was doing. I think the data and analytics can be over pushed at times. Like I think
Okay.
there's still a place for old school style, old school pitching, the basics, getting ahead, winning the 1-1,
Sure.
bulldog mentality, like just being a competitor on the mound. I feel like that's missed out on so much now because guys are chasing velo or chasing stuff plus or whatever the case may be. So I think from that perspective, analytics can be a little bit overused.
Okay.
But I also think it's all in learning who you are as a pitcher or as a hitter. Like what metrics do you specifically need to key in on that you can look at and be like, all right, when this metric is falling or this metric is rising, things are going good, going great. And that's kind of the few metrics you have to look into. But I think a lot of it is just learning yourself. I feel like each year something new comes out, with what you need to look at or how you need to look at it. But really, I think the A's have done a good job just kind of trusting our scouting guys, trusting our data analytics crew, trusting our biomechanists with what we need
Yeah.
to work on. And yeah, like I said, but the biggest thing for me is just knowing who you are and know what metrics you really need to look at.
Is Kotz big on analytics, or is he a field guys, or a little bit of both?
I mean, I think he always knows it's important, right? Like we
Yeah.
always want the 98 with 20 plus and a banger sweeper. But I think he also has a good understanding of the game itself, who the competitors are in the group, what it takes to win. I think he's a really healthy mix of the two and understands both sides.
Now, are you aware? Now, when I was growing up, I saw Kotze a lot at Fullerton. Are you aware he's considered arguably or on the short list as like the greatest college baseball player ever?
I am not, but I'm gonna have to make him
he's
aware of that.
He's on the he on a lot of people's list as far as accolades and what he's done at Fullerton in college baseball. A lot of people's list, he's considered the greatest college baseball player ever. And if not, he's in the discussion without a doubt. He was that good. So I didn't know if that was known or whatever. Yeah. But he definitely,
he's pretty humble about that stuff. He isn't really overhype it too much.
Oh yeah.
It's
no question about it. Like as far as baseball, there's no question he's either one or in the top 5.
Wow.
As far as greatest college baseball players and his accolades and what he did. I mean, he was just a beast at Fullerton. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during the games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you have got a little something riding on the action. Whether you are a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. What's your off season like right now? What are you doing? What's your daily routine?
Yeah, so me and our training staff really talked, and we really wanted to just keep the rehab going, just to stay on a consistent basis. For me, we decided that we're going to do more of a longer, gradual build up into spring training, just to kind of give the arms some more time going into next year in terms of the build up process, not making it this huge spike going into the year, but a little more gradual. Really build into it. But right now I'm home in Indiana. Me and my wife have an apartment here. Our families are here.
That's awesome, man.
But we're actually going to go out to Arizona for the remainder of the off season, starting in November, training some warmer weather. These Indiana winters can get a little chilly.
I absolutely bet.
Get a little tired of training in the indoor facilities all the time. So I'm excited.
Imagine, man. You know what? I've been dying to ask you this question. It's something that just always confuses me, and I haven't been able to figure out. The Vegas ballpark. Now, I've seen certain guys, like, for example, Seth Brown, when he came up, he's obviously struggled in Sacramento, but when he got sent down, I mean, he was like 21 of 42. Just ridiculous numbers. Same thing with Urshela. Same thing with Langoliers when he had his rehab assignment. I mean, he treated Vegas like it was like a video game with how he did. Is there just a gigantic difference as far as pitching there. And how would you compare it to Sacramento? Sacramento's been known as a hitter's ballpark as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like from a hitter's perspective, I think the guys that do come down, whether it be option, rehab assignment, whatever the case may be, like there's so much intensity and pressure that we as players tend to put on ourselves,
Okay.
especially at a big league level.
Sure.
That once we come back down, I think it's a little more freeing in a sense.
I see.
That's just what I've noticed. Like, granted, I haven't necessarily gone through that yet. Hopefully I never do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from a hitter's perspective, that's just kind of what I see. They tend to play a little more free, and
Okay.
next thing you know, they build more confidence. They go back up, and if they maintain that confidence, I feel like we see that they continue to have pretty good success. From a pitching perspective, though, I don't know. It's hard sometimes to describe because I feel like a lot of people always talk about the climates and the elevation and the ball flies.
Right.
You know, it's so hard to pitch in the PCL. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you're like, granted, you're going to give up your fair share of bullcrap homers and hits and whatnot just because of the conditions. But at the
Sure.
same time, it's how well can you limit it? Like if you give up one, it doesn't mean you have to keep throwing fastballs down the middle and giving up 6 or 7 more. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of have to adjust your game plan. You have to do things like that. But I think it's really good from a learning perspective of like sometimes your game plan does shift mid-game. I mean, it happened to me a couple of times, whether it's not finding the strike zone or whatever the case may be. Like I need to just start spamming my sweeper because I can throw it for a strike, it has a good whiff, and then you just show the fastball or vice versa, whatever the case may be. But for me, I think if you're competitive and you have good stuff,
Yeah.
and you use that to the best of your ability, like you can still have a ton of success even in the PCL.
Gotcha. Is there any pitchers, past or present, you study, you emulate, borrow ideas?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really love Sonny Gray.
Yeah,
I love that he's still doing it. I
Me
love that he was a
too.
former A.
I did
For me,
too.
you know, it's always tough because it's always like, even now I'll be walking around and people will see me in an A shirt or something, and like, you play sports? They're like, I'm like, yeah, and they're like, football? I'm like, no, like baseball, and they're like, oh, are you an outfielder or infielder? I'm like, no, I'm a pitcher.
Yeah.
So for me, growing up, it was always tough because it was like you have to be 6'4", lanky, a little bit taller to be a pitcher.
Right.
And Sonny kind of coming up kind of revived
Yeah.
that for me of like shorter build, still a starter, great stuff, competitive spirit. So yeah, Sonny for me is kind of who I've always tried to look at and emulate a little bit.
I got it. Yeah, that's a good one to emulate. That's for sure, man. You talk about a bulldog.
Absolutely.
Is there one game at any level that you would love to relive? Any level.
Yeah, I don't know. I would love to go back and pitch in that AA championship again from
Yeah,
last
Midland.
year.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. That's when I started watching you was in Midland. And you just because you were hurt a lot of that year at Midland, weren't you?
I was hurt kind of similar to this year, like the first 6 weeks of the year I was out.
And then you took the ball down the stretch and just shoved.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, that was really a big turning point. That was really when like the confidence, who I was as a pitcher, my routine, like I was just kind of like, all right, like this is it, you know?
That's a good call.
But going back to that game, I mean, we were right there and we had it. And there's one pitch I could take back. I threw a sweeper that was a good pitch, but it was just a little middle, and they hit it through the infield, ended up scoring a couple runs. And it's like, you just keep throwing. I was throwing like 99 that day. So it was like, if I just throw one more fastball, like I'd probably get out of it. So I wish I could have that one back.
What's a kick change? A lot, obviously everyone's the change up, but now all of a sudden everyone's throwing this kick change. What is it exactly? And what's the difference between that and a change up? And how's that developing in your game? And do you see that part of your repertoire?
Yeah, it's really just a variation of a circle changeup. So circle changeup, if you hold it like this, you have the circle on the side.
Okay.
This middle finger, for some of us, like it's so dominant that even if we try and pronate a circle changeup, it still tends to stay behind the baseball because it's so dominant, and you get really bad metrics, and it's super hard, and it's almost just like a BP fastball in a sense. So with the kick change, all you do is you just kick that finger up, So then as we go through at release, it creates natural extension and pushes the side of the ball to where it creates the spin axis that we want. Um,
I
I
see.
almost feel like it's just an easier way for guys to grasp pronation with the changeup without having to like force it in a sense, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Do you have any conversations with the hitters as far as their mindset, what they're looking for, kind of that chess game? And if so, who's been that one guy that gives you the best type of feedback, and what kind of feedback do you usually get on that?
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like I said, like constantly trying to learn, get 1% better each day, finding if hitters are keyholing anything specifically. Um, but for me, like a Shea Langeliers, William McIver, I feel like the catchers are great with that type of stuff
They
because they're
are, huh?
seeing it from both sides.
Gotcha.
Um, and they're also like learning with you, which is really cool to kind of see. Like you can really start to see when a pitcher and a catcher get in a groove together. They're thinking on the same wavelength, and things are kind of just rolling. But I feel like from their perspective too, like they see so many pitches, both getting caught and hitting, that they have a really good sense of, how the baseball works, what guys see, what they don't, and how to operate with it.
What do you want your legacy as a pitcher to be? How do you hope fans and teammates think of you, let's say 5, 10 years? What do you want your career to end up being, and how do you want to be thought of?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is just, a good Christian man, someone that your teammates respect for his faith, and someone that always comes into the clubhouse and, says hi to guys, like does the little things, creates a conversation,
Sure. So
easy to
important.
talk to,
Yeah.
willing to lead and help others. Like for me, that's super important because through my journey, like that's all I've clung to is the people that are like that are willing to help you out when you need it, even if times are really tough. But also for me, I mean, I want to put on one of those A's green jackets. I want to
Yeah.
stay with the A's for my whole
Yeah.
tenure, and I want to be
Yeah.
an athletics Hall of Famer. Like I think that'd be so cool. I think it's so cool to see the guys that are able to stay with an organization for such a long time and get that
Yeah.
opportunity. And I love where this organization is heading. Like we're so young, we're so talented. There's so many promising things in the future, and I really want to be a part of that one, but also want to see that through to the end. So I'm hoping that I can, string a good career along here and like I said, hopefully be able to put on one of those jackets someday.
Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts.